How about now? There we go. I don't know why it switched the setting for a second, but some things to pay attention to. We're just seeing upward moves across the board. You saw that when I was flashing over. I don't know why the setting changed. I just had to change the mic settings again. But just upward moves overall with that retail sales number, okay? The retail sales number, I just wanted to point this out, this 0.1, since you guys didn't hear that at the beginning, this 0.1, or this 1%, sorry, this 1% is dramatically higher than what was forecasted and the previous. Now, people will see that as a strong economy initially, right? So that is going to show some upside. We'll see if that's able to hold, but as of right now, this can give some argument to not cutting rates in September. So this actually can cause those yields to have to remain higher, because that is exactly what it is a stronger economy, right? Retail sales at 1%, that is a dramatic difference from the previous month. And we're noticing that that could mean that we're still in a growing economy. If you're still in that growing economy, well, then inflation can still be heading up. Inflation can still hold up at higher levels. So that is what I would all read into as far as that goes. And then the other thing we were just mentioning at the beginning was the dollar really starting to turn up from here. So watch out, because even though you're seeing this upward price action, the dollar is dramatically higher at the same time. So you have to pay attention to these type of things. All right, this is going to be very, very important. We're starting to get above the daily expected move for the SPY, but if we needed to, we can still go make some structure in this overall move, so we'll pay attention. So yeah, it's just kind of like a, hey, this is great price action. We had dailies curl up, so we knew that a squeeze potential was there. It was there, but now the dollar's moving up while the market is moving up, and I think that's pretty important. So we're paying attention to this, as this might need to reload at some point. And I think a big hint to that will be what the PCC is doing today. He increased his position on Sirius Black. Increase his position here, and that would make sense. This looks like a 2-hour divergence. Yeah, 2-hour divergence confirming as of right now. That can start to roll up daily charts, so we'll see if that's able to happen. For the most part, this is able to roll up daily charts. We'll see if it's able to break through some tops up here. But for the most part, thank you so much, Short Fridays, for the $5. And it looks like we could curl up this daily with these 2-hour signals if they can go positive. They will revise it down next month. Yeah, yeah, revisions always end up messing with things. They revise everything these days. It's very pretty much annoying. No hard landing. What interest rates? AI will save the world by ridding humanity. I mean, you could be in one of those positions. I just think they don't want the market to go down, and I think that, you know, something like retail sales is important to pay attention to. It's overall like how businesses are doing. Nvidia not seeing that positivity, by the way. Very interesting for Nvidia not to see that positivity. Very interesting. Upward reversal for divergence. Let's see if we're doing it right. What time frame are you looking at? No real divergence on the 2-hour. That could just roll over and that'd be bad. But you do have some structure down here to pay attention to. You can see this very thin, very, very thin divergence down in here. You do have them, but on a massive drop like this, this could just be the first turning of the 2-hour to get towards that center line and cross back down. Now, it doesn't mean you can't build back. Doesn't mean the daily can't cross up and give you that hint, but I'd just be doing that. I'd be waiting to make sure that I'm seeing some 2-hour divergence or something like that. The 30-minute, it's just too much of a gamble at this point. With that dramatic downside, you're looking for another reaction up. It doesn't mean it's a bad place to invest. I would just like to see like a daily crossing up or something like that. The last time the daily crossed up, you notice it remained crossed up for a long time and you saw a reaction eventually. Okay, well, kind of looking for a similar thing here, but no real, I wouldn't say divergence at this point, because if you go into a 30-minute, when you see dramatic drops like this, yes, this is divergence right here, right? And that confirmed, and what happened? A good move. And then that failed, and then that failed. So you don't really have that anymore. You're looking for a close above that level that you're at right now. You're looking for a close above 2050 to really see if this can gain some steam. But it's just a difficult one, because it came down dramatically with the earnings. So this is more, you're looking at it from an investment standpoint. I mean, you just look across all the way back until, let's see, this is 2017. We haven't been at these prices. So if you believe in this, at lower prices, you've done your due diligence. That's more what I'd be looking into here, not really going with the mentality of some kind of divergence play until I see a 2-hour one. Clove, all right, let's go look at Clove real quick. Bam, still heading to the upside for Clove. Now this one, a little bit worried on this initial cross up for that big divergence, and you still kind of have it, but this is just extremely bullish move, extremely bullish move. The last time really you had an opportunity to get in was on this big cross up right here, and then that 30-minute never curled back down, so good upward move from there, all the way from $2 to $2.60. So I would more so look at this like, okay, I'm looking for the same type of thing, right? See over here, good move up, same type of thing, good move up, same type of thing, then I can make a decision. But right now I don't want to be chasing or anything like that, even though the daily, I'm sure, is looking like it's screaming higher. Just look, it's overbought. What happens a lot of the time when you get to these levels? Well, you can go higher, that's for sure, but for the most part, I would say, is this like something I want to get in on right now? Probably not, unless I look at a monthly scale and things look good, but I don't have enough data to really make a decision there. Now, you could say, hey, the monthly is crossing up, giving you that swing with at least this here, and now getting above on the RSI, so you could see months worth of positivity, maybe up to $4. We'll see. Oh, Mayo. Okay, here you go. Alrighty. Now, this is going to be something to pay attention to on the daily. It's so close to crossing. It's insane. So we have to pay attention. I know a lot of people are like, I don't really pay attention to the memers or to AMC or to GME. Well, there's times where you want to pay attention to them, right? We still talk about them a lot, but for the most part, you just want to see, because this daily crosses up at any time, you can see some positivity. Look at all the moving averages just touching here. So if this starts to pop off, if GME crossing up starts to pop off, that can be a big deal. All right, that can be a big deal. That can really shake up the market as you're seeing the dollar head higher while the market heads higher at this moment. So here in about 10 minutes, we'll get the PCC and we'll have to find out what's going on with that. I think we still have the ability to pull back on the 2-hour before seeing another massive move higher. That's what I think. If we're going to see another move higher, I think you have a good shot at a pullback over the next few days. But I'm taking it for what it's worth. Looking into what's happening over on like Bitcoin or something like that. If this is such a bullish move, well, Bitcoin's catching up, right? Bitcoin's not getting the initial reaction. Actually, Bitcoin, when I first looked at it after it got the data, was down a little bit. It kind of went like this. So now we're getting that reaction. See if that 2 hour is able to curl up for Bitcoin. That can mean positivity for things like Mara. Mara with a nice 5.61% move this morning. So that is something to watch. Boeing calls are printing. Let's go look at Boeing for a second here. See, this is a great little 2 hour rejection divergence. You just see this move up here like this. Okay, boom to the upside. Let's see if that daily is able to cross soon. Right, that daily looks like it's about to cross, and that's the type of signal you want to look for. Do you see how maybe this will help you a little bit there? Short Fridays. Intel, you see how this is really, really bad? Intel dropped off just like this one. The only difference between Boeing and Intel at this point is it at least formed some kind of thing down here. It at least formed something to pay attention to. When you go look at Intel, though, is a little bit different. You're not necessarily seeing a good rejection. You're just seeing this flatten out. That can lead to positivity, but we would like to see like this happen and then some kind of rejection. That's what I would really like to see. Just one more dip down. But if this starts to head up, I mean, you should just see if dailies are crossing up and that kind of thing. Good morning, Apes, says Jay. What's up? Oh, Palantir actually did go, and I believe that did hit a hot. Oh, okay. In the pre-market, it was at 31.50, which is what we were trying to pump it up to, right? So at this point, we can look at a 30-minute. We say there's a ton of divergences here. This could be a little bit worrisome going forward. So just look into it. It's just something to pay attention to. AMC and GME looking a little green as well. We'll pay attention to those. The SPY hitting key levels, Qs hitting that daily expected move. So the SPY's outside of its daily expected move. The Qs are hitting its daily expected move as of right now. Yeah, exactly. The consolidation was better. It was more of an obvious trade. Overall, what I'm saying about Intel is there could be a trade there. It's just not obvious to me. And I like to take very obvious plays. DJT, looking at that, we're noticing this. Hey, starting to get a good curl up here. Let's look over at a 2 hour because I believe there are a bunch of signals here. Hey, you're getting a confirmation of that 2 hour. So not only is AMC on the verge of crossing up on a daily and all the moving averages are close together, but something like DJT, which had a short seller problem in it as well, seeing that start to curl up. GME seeing that start to curl up on a daily. So there's a lot to pay attention to. This is the beginning of what could be a reversal in trend. It has been down, down, down for a long time. And then boom, pops to the upside. So that's kind of what DJT does. Kind of moves down, 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 pop up, down, 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 pop up, down, 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 pop up. Okay, we see that in these times as well. These times as well. This one was a little shorter, but for the most part, when we see these big moves down, we eventually see that crossing up. So we'll see if this has some positivity left in it. We'll see if some kind of big move can happen. But I'm not banking on it. I'm just saying, hey, this signal looks good, right? 2 hour divergences. 2 hour divergences on the MACD and RSI at the same time. So this does look like a good signal. Will that actually lead to a move into positive territory, curl up the daily, as that thing is looking like it's got some divergence down here as well? Okay, so DJT could be making a big move soon. We'll find out if these things start to cross up and confirm momentum, then that move might be more extended to the upside. How do you distinguish? Well, you have to watch that bounce, okay? So you have to really watch it. So like, let's say this daily right here crosses up, right? Goes like this, and that move looks something like this. All right, if it looks something like this, is there a 2 hour divergence in this move? If there's a weakening in momentum in this move, is there a 30-minute divergence here? Does that pull back and curl back up, or does that reverse down, right? You want to pay attention to weakness and momentum here, weakness and momentum here. Here, you more so want to pay attention to the 30-minute and then see if that can curl back up, right? And then here, or maybe a 2 hour cross down and then curl back up. Or here, you want to pay attention to see if there's 2 hour divergences. If there's not, or if those divergences don't go into negative territory and just turn up again, you can keep seeing positivity. You can. Second here. Alrighty. I'm just looking at Mara because I think this one might have an opportunity in it. I'm looking for that 2 hour. That 2 hour has crossed. So this looks like a decent signal for Mara. That's why I'm paying attention a little bit to Bitcoin, seeing if that can cross up. The only thing that's worrying me today is the dollar being higher. While the market is higher, I think that's a little bit worrisome. And we'll have to see how this PCC comes out in just a little bit. But volatility is going down, testing right in between that. This is pretty much the area, guys. This is the area where if we get a big reaction from volatility, this is where we would test. This is where we would test. That fear kind of coming out of the market for a second. Okay, we test right in this area. Now we have to see, do we break down? If we break down below it, more squeeze to be had. If we hold above it and see a reaction, we could be seeing this actually turn back around. And this was all just a daily pullback for the VIX. So we're paying attention to it. At this moment, though, we would have to say, hey, it's crossed, the SPY, it's crossed up on the daily MACD. That thing looks pretty bullish. It's still heading to the upside, starting to fade the move as of right now. Let me pull up some things on my other charts. Let me get those other charts up. We'll see if Bitcoin has something to say. GameStop now up 1.3%, not bad. I heard there was some interesting stuff about Roaring Kitty out there. Have you guys heard that? Tesla went up to 210. Yes, it did. It went up to 210. Okay, awesome. Daily has not crossed up yet, but the 30-minute here is what I'm overall paying attention to. Great move from Tesla. Breaking out, hitting our resistance level, testing that breakout area, and then heading to the upside. Very good behavior from it. But this is mainly, that's just good news with the data. People were ready to send this higher. Looks like they like that data so far. So retail sales going up. Tesla does sell stuff. Boom. Heads to the upside. Now we'll see if the dollar starts to fade with this. And I want to see what that PCC looks like this morning. Q's right at the daily, SPY above the daily. What stuff for Roaring Kitty? Well, here, I'll do this. If you type moas.com and hit enter. Oh, Roaring Kitty's YouTube pops up. Okay, cool. And then if I also type September 4th.com and hit enter, what happens? Roaring Kitty YouTube pops up if you type September 4th.com. So I thought that was pretty interesting. I don't know if we want to read too much into it, but ready to kick some ready to kick some market makers' butts. Let's go. I'm ready, Nazim. Thank you so much for taking the course. I hope you enjoyed it. Probably don't read too much into it, right? Whenever they give a specific date, if people talk about that too much, well, then market makers are aware of that specific date. And that date happens to be, I'm pretty sure that's the date of some key stuff here. Let's see, this is September 4th. There you go. So GameStop earnings is pretty much all he's saying there. I wouldn't read into it like MOAS has to happen on September 4th. It's more just like, hey, earnings is going to be a big deal to Roaring Kitty, it seems. Yeah, I think Palantir does have the opportunity to fall a little bit, so we'll pay attention to it. We can see that things are looking a little bit worrisome for it. A little bit, just because you have a bunch of divergences up here. You have the weekly expected move just above you. You actually tested that, I believe, in the pre-market. Let me actually look at this. Yeah, you went up to like 3150 in the pre-market. I'm not saying it's not a buy by any means, like it can't go up over the next 6 months. I'm saying right now it looks like it's going to experience what? A 2-hour pullback. I think a 2-hour pullback looks likely. Maybe just to test something like 2912. I think a retest of 2912 would be very good. That's all I'm saying with that one. But of course, things are still curled up, positive territory, so we don't necessarily want to be like, oh yeah, this has to crash down. We just want to be like, okay, well, this looks like we could see some pullbacks or something like that. It could pull back with time. It could just move sideways. Excuse me. God, I had something stuck in my throat. AMD with a 1.7% move up. Tesla now hitting 211. Maybe going to go up towards a weekly expected move. We'll find out. Right now, you do have a 68% chance to drop from this area by market close on Friday. PCC, people still trying to overall, adding up a little bit more towards that 0.95, so a little bit of a shorting going on early this morning. $20 made some money on QQQ calls, closed position today. Hey, congratulations, Short Fridays. Thank you so much for the $20. Really appreciate that. Good job on that trade. Congratulations, man. Disney. Disney did have the 2-hour divergence. This is a great look for Disney right here. This can start to turn up daily charts. You can start to see some upside. Daily chart, you can notice down here, what do you have? Well, you have a divergence on the RSI. So this could just be a reaction to the 20. This could be a reaction all the way up to test some key levels like 94. But this is what you're looking for. I like that trade setup a lot. Now, this would be, hey, get down at these levels and then see if that's able to pop up. Boom, pops up. So now you know, hey, that trade's looking pretty decent there. But you're looking at the right stuff. This is 2-hour divergence down here. This is weakening in momentum. Now you got to see if that daily can cross up. It is a little bit Yoda. It just means that we have to pay attention to certain things. We have to pay attention closely to, you know, how people are positioned at certain times. We know pullbacks and things like that happen, fake outs and things like that happen. If we just look at the overall trend, of the SPY, we would say, okay, the daily has crossed up. This is a good thing, right? This is a very, very good thing. So if we are going to experience some resistance because of that kind of rigged behavior that you're saying you don't like, well, then it's pretty obvious that maybe that would happen right now. And then it's pretty obvious where would it try to hold up, right? It would try to hold up here. It would maybe retest this level down here. Okay, so those are the two levels I'm paying attention to if we can roll over. But if people keep trying to short the market, then that can just fuel those flames a little bit. So that's where it's like a little bit, it's kind of like you're hoping, and that's what's sad, is like you need other retail that aren't part of this live chat to actually take the wrong play, which is kind of the sad part. It's like they have to get over leveraged in the other direction, the wrong direction, and then you'll see that start to drop off. So we'll see. 30-minute divergence on the VIX. Yeah, I did notice this, this on the 30-minute. We actually do have a point of divergence too that is created right now. So this is something to pay attention to. But is that actually going to play out? It hasn't confirmed. It's just showing itself, but it's showing itself right where we expect, right? Right where we expect things to go. We've been mentioning this pretty much for the last, like, ever since this big pop in volatility. We just said, if this rotates down, it's most likely going to cross. If you cross, you most likely are going to squeeze. We are squeezing. Now you're going to head down to the 50 and the 200. If you can get a reaction from there, that's where something bad can happen. If you start to close below the 200, well, then you're getting more of a squeeze, most likely down to 1212. So that's why we have to pay close attention to today. But this could be just a sharp reaction in volatility, and that turns right back down, just because of where the SPY is and how it would need to maybe reload to the downside. But for the most part, right now, we're not seeing people get overzealous to the call side. You do have HYG and TLT not showing that positivity as much. HYG actually saying to itself, hey, I might need to back off and then curl back up, right? V shape, whoop, whoop, this, that would be good. But for the most part, we'd say, hey, TLT is dropping off as well. So if TLT starts to turn down, those yields are going to go higher as things keep on growing. But look at that cross up. So most likely on the daily scale, you're heading to the upside until we start to see some 2 hours curl over. We can't really even say pullback. People keep trying to short the upward move. That's overall a recipe for disaster. A recipe for short squeezing to continue. New to your channel, everyone is civilized here, trade like water. Yes, love it, Yoda Best. Yoda Best, Yoda Best. I love it. I love hearing people say trade like water. It is something that really has helped me out as a trader. It's just a little phrase I came up with pretty much right when I started doing YouTube. I was like, how do I trade? Like, legitimately, I came up to with it when I started my YouTube channel. I was like, man, what's the best way to explain this? Paying attention to both sides. It's trading like water. It's being very adaptable, being able to fit in any cup, being able to move in any direction, right? We just have to position ourselves correctly, and we'll go down the right stream. Pretty awesome. You look at Nail, sold at the open yesterday. Nail started to head to the upside actually here. So what I really want to happen here is if a daily can cross up, that would be a good sign. This is not the best pattern in the world. If we look at a 30-minute or something like, well, most of the time I want to do this on HGX, the actual housing market. You'll see that big gap up so far. So we'll see what happens with this. It's starting to break through some structure. So we'll pay attention. We curled up by positive territory. Positive things have happened. At this point, we would say a 2-hour rollover would be bad, but you're rejecting that cross as of now. So is this the best pattern in the world? Not really, because you're still probably within some good flagging here, right? You're still pretty much within that flagging. Here, let me connect that. Let me connect that one. Boom, you're still pretty much in the flagging at this point. So as we look at that, it's like, hey, if we break through that, that would be a very, very bullish sign. If we can curl up on daily MACDs and things like that, that would be a bullish sign. We're noticing that that just hasn't happened yet. But these are the first inclinations of a swing trade. You have the price action with the green bar above all the moving averages. You have the RSI above the center line. You're just waiting on the lagging indicator. That lagging indicator could take some time to actually click in, maybe towards like a 780 or something like that. It really could take some time, but a green bar up here is what you're looking for. We still get more data tomorrow. For the most part though, Dow looking good, right? Trying to back off a little bit here. We're seeing if 2 hours can start to roll down for some kind of pullback. which interesting to see that Bitcoin not seeing the most positivity, right? If this is really people wanting to go to risk, okay, that's awesome, but Bitcoin's pretty, like, quote unquote, risky. And if that can just turn up, hey, good things can happen. But hasn't fully turned up yet, so you haven't fully seen that positivity come in. We'll see if this PCC can start to drop off dramatically. And we'll see if the dollar continues to head up. If the dollar just reverses back down, this might be a real move to the upside. SMCI, I'm pretty sure this is curled up on the day. Oh, it's about to. Okay, so that one's about to. Gold not giving the best look here. Oil retesting our little area. Bitcoin still trying to curl up on that MACD as of right now. Palantir is the only one that I'm like a little worried about. I'm actually worried about this move higher. It could make a small move higher and then be like, yeah, we're going, and then just crap out. Not saying this is bad still. I'm just saying it has the opportunity to consolidate to head higher as you've just kind of, like one of these moments, one of these little moments would be nice. But it could be more extended this time. Could be extended sideways, right? They don't always make you put a limit order if you sell at the market price, but the market price can be a range, and you might have to put a limit order if there's a wide spread. If there's a really wide spread, like let's say your option is the spread on it's like, sometimes I've seen spreads that are like 50 cents to $1.50, a whole dollar. And so it says you have to look in there where you would want to sell, what price point you're looking at. It'll even give you the average price people are asking for, so you can do that from there. But usually at that point, you don't necessarily want to hit market order because you can end up selling something that, say it's worth on your screen, it's worth 85 cents and the spread is $1.50. $1 on one side, 50 cents on the other. Well, if you hit the market one, then it might sell it for 50 cents. So you need to put that in there. And then it might say like, oh, okay, you have a less likelihood of getting filled or something like that, but Tesla up from here. For now, it is going to the upside. 5% move to the upside. Nothing to joke around about. That is very, very good. Curling up on the 30 minutes. So positivity, most likely option here. Seeing if the daily can start to rotate up. Right, that daily rotates up. Daily swing trade to the upside. Let me delete some stuff here. So it's able to hold up pretty well at this point. Apple going up into our point of resistance up towards that 225.84. So right where it needs to. This would make sense to pull back. Seeing people get a little bit more calls in. We'll see if that continues to drop. The dollar going higher while the market's higher could mean that there is some insider selling. Doesn't mean that this isn't a great move. It just means we could experience some kind of 2-hour pullback if people get overzealous. They could really rip it down to grab liquidity, do a liquidity grab, and then turn back up. GME and AMC still negative at this point. PCC going back up. See, that can really fuel those flames. If people keep trying to short, that's not going to be a good thing. So you're looking for the PCC more to get down from here if you want that pullback. If it heads to the upside, okay, awesome. That just means we have a higher likelihood to squeeze. Insiders are going to rug pull. It's just the timing of the rug pull that we're trying to catch, right, Greg? There's an attempt. There could be a rug pull. We could say there could be, right? But this can take a long time. This can still build up like this, and still the market could go higher if it's an overall squeeze and people just sell into the squeeze. And then once that does take over and we actually see the reaction in the market, that's what matters. So that's why we're paying attention to this PCC, just because we're trying to see how people are getting leverage today. We can see this type of thing happening, and we'll find out. And then for the volatility, just seeing if a 30-minute divergence can confirm, because at this point, still pointing down, right? We see the little divergence in here. You can see it, but it's so small. We've had it for a little while. And you're now seeing that in the RSI at the same time while we're testing a pretty key area. We were minus 1,000 points. Now, all-time highs. Well, I still think 0.25 like even a couple days ago without this piece of data, I still think we were at 0.25. I think 0.25 made the most sense. But actually, this type of thing happening can lead them not to raising rates at all. Yeah. That looks like the Fed funds rate has a 75% probability to land at 5 to 5.25. And then you have a 25% chance of a 4.75 to 5. So it's like you have a 75% chance with this to still see that 25 basis point cut. 25% chance to see a 50 basis point cut. So we'll see what happens. If the 50 comes out, then you're like, uh-oh, the market might shit the bed with that. IWM starting to give up the gains. SPY starting to give up the gains just a little bit here, but PCC starting to rise. We'll see what happens. Overall, paying attention to this, the dollar moving up means there was some insider selling with that info. That's what that big move tells me. Now I just got to see if that actually takes over. We'll find out by the end of the day for sure. And the key thing here is our dailies starting to curl up. We're getting closer and closer to a curl up from the dollar as we head to lower levels. Now, every time we've been towards these levels, we've seen some kind of reaction, right? We've seen now down here, we had an extended period where we kind of remained down there for a while, but that's where we had divergence form. So interesting behavior there, but for the most part, we'd say we get reactions from the dollar around this area. We can see things start to break down from this area just with 2-hour pullbacks and things like that. Volatility, it looks like it's going to go test that 200. We got to see what happens at that 200. Take a little profit on that. Just kind of scale out of some things to the upside. Looks solid. One thing I'm just keeping a close eye on is going to be Palantir. I think that this is still something to pay attention to. Really look for when this 2-hour does cross. That's where we can see more of the pullback coming. Now, if we just drop from this level and the PCC is this high, look for that thing to scale up quickly. If that thing scales up quickly, that could mean the pullback is happening, and then we'll see if that's able to turn up over time. Right now, if you did shorten this area, though, you would be fighting against daily momentum, so that's something to pay attention to. We're not necessarily seeing like the best reversal signals up here. You're just looking like, hey, you could pull back at some point, and you do have a 68% chance just to do this by Friday close. We shall see. See the dollar starting to just come off a little bit. So now we need to pay attention if this 2 hour starts to rotate back down, right? If that rotates back down, that's not going to be the best sign. The best sign for a pullback. It'll be a good sign for possibly more upside, weirdly enough. Ooh, okay, okay. Volatility is starting to see some increase in their prices here for a moment. Interesting. Interesting. So we'll find out what's going to happen with this. Dow Jones starting to give it up pretty good right here. SPY will maybe fill that and then see what happens. But as of right now, we're just seeing, hey, dollar up, SPY up at the same time. We'll see if those things start to change. For the most part right now, hey, dollar up and SPY up at the same time. Tesla with a solid move. Looks like Amazon with a pretty solid move. AMD with a pretty solid move. I'm still looking at this Mara play. I'm looking at it. It looks decent, but I need that bar to post. I got to be careful with it. Palantir, I do think you see just a pullback maybe to $29. I think $29 would be nice. With all these 30-minute divergences in here. I would like a pullback, because then maybe I could scale into the play next, right? I could take a swing play up. As of right now, SPY holding above that daily and the weekly expected move. Q's fighting it right now, able to get above it as well. Q's actually showing maybe, not really divergence at that point. It's on the MACD, not on the RSI. Apple is showing you some divergences here. Maybe something like 216 would make total sense. 2 hours just been going up for a long time. Interesting, interesting, interesting. Let's look around and see what people are talking about out in the world, huh? What are you guys chatting about? CIA needs to pull cash out. Hey, facts, actually. Give me some hope today due to Kitty. Not really just due to Kitty. If you guys, isn't it weird how the timing of things happen? This is why I really want you to start to believe in technical analysis. Isn't it weird the timing of things? I thought this was interesting. Not only did Roy and Kitty post last night, change all these things last night, before he did anything, before anyone caught any of that info, what happened on your MACD? You crossed. You crossed up on the MACD on the daily scale. And what else is happening with the timing? AMC is so bottled up getting above that 200, right? So it's not necessarily to say like, hey, oh yeah, there has to be upside, but these are the signals you would start to see before there's upside if something's really bottling up. And then right after that, you notice some things come out. That's the whole point. Like technical analysis a lot of the time is going to hint where something can happen. And if you react based on that, you can see good things. It's not to say this has to squeeze or anything like that, right? It's not to say that at all. It's more just saying, okay, if we're going to see a squeeze, this is what you would need to happen. You need a daily to turn up. And look at that, we're going into a weekend. This could just turn up on Friday, and then Monday we see some crazy things, right? So we just have to pay attention for the most part right now. We're seeing some upside. That's great, right? We're able to hold up above the 200 again. If we're able to fully hold up above that, that would be a great sign. GameStop curling up that MACD, that's a fantastic sign as well. So we're just paying attention to the technicals, and then look, something in the news happens. That's kind of why I like the technicals. But not how everyone dreams, yeah. For Google saw some negativity. They had some overall news that they were going to be broken up. So what ended up happening here was the daily wasn't able to cross, the 2 hour curled back down. So now you're looking for that 2 hour to cross back up. Why? Because what? Well, you have a divergence down here. So you actually have good divergence down here for Google, but you need that to really cross up. And the problem with today is this is weakness, and the dollar is higher while the market is higher. Okay, so that's kind of convincing me like, hey, something could be a little wonky happening here. AMC and GME could pop off. That could send everything for a loop. Something bad could happen in the economy. Something bad could happen with banks. Something bad could happen with causes unemployment. Something bad could happen in geopolitics. There's so much that could happen. There's friggin' monkeypox out there. Like, you think it can't get crazier, and then monkeypox starts trending everywhere. And it's like, we kind of talked about this, and we've said this a few times. What's going to happen before the election? Well, if there is some kind of elite and they do not like Donald Trump, then one, we mentioned there would be an assassination attempt. That ended up happening. Then right after that, we started to say now the most likely thing to happen would be they try to do a COVID 2.0 to shut down or collude to rig an election. That can happen. Oh, everything's shut down. There's martial law. We can't have an election anymore. Just the president in charge has to take over. And then Biden's incapacitated, and then Kamala Harris just becomes president, right? Something like that can happen. I'm not saying it will. It's just something I'm aware of, and I'm just paying attention with common sense. Common sense tells me monkeypox, it's just, they could use that in order. It's going to be a lot scarier than COVID. You look at the pictures, you're like, hey, that's a lot scarier than COVID. Oh, I shouldn't say that word. That word's like banned on YouTube, isn't it? My bad. So, we're looking, we're liking. Trying to see. I think we're positioned. So we've kind of trimmed some stuff to the upside. This is some great upside moves, right? These are some great upside moves. So now I'm looking for, hey, a lot of things are outside of its weekly. We're heading into a Friday. We're heading into a point where Nvidia could back off to gain some buyers. But all of this is very bullish. You have to treat it that way. All of this is very bullish. We're just noticing that the dollar headed up at the same time. And now I think we keep the market higher if this just doesn't fade in the first hour and a half of the day. Well, what did he post on? He didn't post. People just found that if you type moas.com, then it goes straight to his YouTube. And if you type September 4th, like the full word out, not the number, you just type all of it out in letters, not numbers, you'll see that it links you directly towards his YouTube account if you type September4th.com. Now, that doesn't mean really much. That doesn't tell you much. It just tells you September 4th. You could say, oh, it's going to happen by then, right? Everyone's going to say, oh, it's going to happen by then. Oh, it's going to happen by then. Oh, it's going to happen by then. Well, the only unfortunate thing is you have earnings that day. He could just be hinting at the earnings. PCC is starting to drop off now. What are we noticing? Well, what am I noticing? My VIX calls are starting to gain some ground here. So my hedge, I still have that. I actually added to it just a couple contracts with my profits from today, just to see if there is going to be a pullback. Can I make a little like scalp out of that over the next couple of days? That would be nice. And then I can see if things just swing back up. So you notice my positioning now is kind of negated to the upside as this gets overbought, right? That's overbought. So now I'm out of my positions to the upside. If I can see that curl down and curl back up, hey, that's when I'm going to make my entry. That's when I'm going to make a decision for upside. And the best part about that is Friday we pull back, maybe Tuesday we pull back, maybe Wednesday, and then, oh, FOMC minutes comes along, right? So if you weren't aware, the FOMC minutes takes place Wednesday, August 21st, right before my birthday. Hey, Satish, thank you so much for joining today. I don't know if I said your name wrong, but that's a weird thing to come by. Someone must have told them. Yeah, I don't know. You got to think too. You got to think of it this way too. There's billions of people on the internet right now. There's millions and hundreds of millions of people using the internet every single second, if not a billion people using the internet every single second. So there's always going to be some dude that's really, really obsessed with the, mother of all short squeezes. Maybe he types it in every single day. Who knows? And it happened to be the day. But one person found it. If that type of thing goes out on the internet, you will see people buy into it, people read into it, people spam it. So yeah, thanks for joining. Appreciate it. Thank you for subscribing. Dash. Let's go look at DoorDash real quick. DoorDash on the daily, pretty overextended, right? Very overbought. So you're looking for more of a pullback from this area. Doesn't have to, but if you wanted to, this would be an important area to get to. That's awesome. Boom like this. Awesome. We see all the divergence points in here. Little scale-ins were happening in here. Hey, that ends up playing up to the upside. So that daily divergence did play out. Okay, head to the upside. Now we're hitting a point where you could run into resistance. We'll find out. This is great behavior here, by the way. If you're trying to, I don't talk too much about Bollinger Bands, but this is great behavior from the Bollinger Band here, because if we switch this right here to a 5, right, we go like this, we switch it to a 5. If you're wanting to learn about Bollinger Bands, a lot of the time you'll see this big reaction up. You'll move sideways to catch up to that 5, and then you'll ride it the rest of the way. So a lot of the time in these big moves, you'll see a reaction in some way to the 5-day moving average. I just thought that was cool. I figured someone might like to know that type of thing. Usually when you get a big move that goes outside of these Bollinger Bands, eventually you will catch up to that 5 and then turn back up. So you're noticing on the 2-hour, what are you doing? You're curling down, kind of in a squeezing behavior, because this is just coming down while this is going up. It's not the best sign in the world. It means that this is very bullish. This can continue. It can keep squeezing, but at any time, this could turn down and it could get a little ugly because the momentum's been dead. So that can just be ripped away. So that's what I'd look for there. See if that 2-hour can curl up. Hey, you're overbought though, so is that the best opportunity? Most likely not. Is this the best opportunity right now? Most likely not. You're looking for a better trade setup. The better trade setup for this was you see a big move, right? We get the big move, and then you curl down to that center line, and then you just pop right back up. Boom, curls up on the MACD right here, actually, and then you see some upside. That's what you're looking for. Right now, you do have a reversal signal. If that does turn down, that could mean you're in for a 2-hour pullback. Dollar starting to just drop off just a little bit here. We'll find out what's happening with this guy. The Dow not showing too much more strength. IWM, Qs holding it. They're all holding above daily expected moves as of right now. Apple's testing a key area too. I think you got a good shot for at least a pullback. I know a lot of people are thinking this. I know a ton of people are thinking this. A ton. They're thinking this is going to happen. And I just don't think that we have that yet unless something crazy happens over the weekend. A lot of people thinking this is going to happen and then we start to head up over time. The only problem with that is the daily is crossed up. Now we see multiple times in the past where you've seen that type of behavior, right? Where you're in negative territory, right? We can go down to here, we see a good pop, and then we drop one more time. And I think that's what people are looking for. So I'd pay attention to that. We can pay attention to that if it's going to remain higher for a little bit and then start to drop off and we see something like this. We actually test the 200 or something like that. This can kind of catch up over time. We see that drop down and then we see that reaction back up. But that wouldn't make a lot of sense with the monthly expected moves unless that was just a sharp, sharp pull down and then a pop up at the end of the month, right? So if you base out and then you can springboard higher, that would make sense. But if this goes positive, then that's kind of off the table. If you start to get above this high, that's kind of off the table. The most likely thing is to really test this level. If you get above this, if you close above this, test this, go make a new one. That's the most likely thing to happen there, right? So what we're paying attention to is, do we do this and then reject? Do we get some kind of rejection here, or does that hold up? Does that turn back up, right? There's a lot of options that can happen. That's why we trade like water. The bottom indicator, this is your relative strength index. So this is the RSI. That is telling, it's a momentum indicator that's telling you when momentum is shifting to the upside. We have crossed that center line, so everything here is positive. That is crossed. It's just not in positive territory yet, but your RSI is already giving you that, saying, yes, this is a good move. Right, we got that signal yesterday, so it makes sense to gap higher today. It really does. Dollar starting to drop down now, not fully able to cross up on the daily or anything like that just yet. And the PCC is slowly dropping. Okay, so this is where we need to pay attention. The dollar is still higher while the market's higher. PCC dropping off. We'll see if that gets down below 0.8. What are my thoughts on Nvidia? Let's go look at Nvidia real quick, see what's happening there. Well, Nvidia popping to the upside again. So a great move. We're going to give you daily expected moves for these things. This is one that we were very bullish on. We saw the 2-hour divergence. That played out. We're in the area where we could make that structure if we needed to dip down to gain those buyers to head higher. You see that the 2 hour is pretty cooked. And that can keep happening, right? That can keep happening in a squeeze. You see these little pullbacks with time, little things like that. That can happen. So we have to pay attention to that. This can remain up here towards this area for a long time. So this is just that first inclination of that happening. Now we have to see, are we going to get some kind of pullback on the 2 hour? Are we having some kind of divergences here? You do have divergence on the 30-minute for Nvidia, but this has been a very, very strong move. So shorting these kinds of moves is difficult because you're technically in some kind of short squeeze even right now. And what they're trying to see is, do people keep shorting it? If so, we most likely head higher. Do people buy a bunch of calls? If so, they most likely bring it down. And that's just how it works. I wish it didn't work that way, but that's just how it works. I think I'm going to take it, although yesterday I was up 120%, but I had a CT scan and missed my exit. Hard to trade. I hope the CT scan went okay, Flacco. I hope that went okay. That's the main thing. I'm glad your trade is still like break even or something like that, and I'm sorry you missed out on profits, but I really hope you're okay. That's the important thing. If you're not here with us, if you're not around, then you can't even take profit. You can't make any money moves. We can't have some fun trading stocks. So I hope everything's all right. We can go look at Max Payne for the Qs. Yeah, let's go do that. That sounds like fun. Now I am doing, most likely I will do a closing stream today. So we might not have the longest stream this morning. Okay, so we do have a bunch of puts today at 459 again, right? Today's the 15th. As you can see, that 459 level, someone keeps buying a ton of 459 puts. I don't know if that's all retail. I don't know if that's just piled up retail, but for now we're just heading to the upside. So that is going to give you some squeeze potential. We'll see what the close is for tomorrow, and you'll notice one more time, 470 looking like the overall put wall here. So 470 is actually where we're at pretty much right now. All right, we're pretty much at 471, so we're above that. So if that starts to happen, we get above that, we close above that level, oh, those people might start to close those positions and switch to the other side. We could squeeze with that. That's very important, right? We can squeeze once you get above those levels, because if those people close their positions, then you have no real resistance at this level anymore, and you can start to head to the upside. So very, very cool behavior there from the Qs. Very cool to see. We like to see it. It's fun. Technically, a rate cut should be good. Rates going down should be good for IWM. Technically, it should be good, but it's why are they cutting? It's the context of their cutting. It's the how much are they cutting? Because if they cut by 50 basis points and say we're worried about unemployment rising too quickly, we're worried that the economy or something like that is seeing some trouble in the banking system, those things, cutting by 50 basis points can be a bad thing. I think a 25 basis point cut would be more of a good thing. Expected move today for GME and AMC. We have to wait for those for Friday close. We don't have an expected move for the daily side of things for AMC and GME. The expected moves for the week is what we have. So fun, Allison. So yeah, it just depends on the reason for the cut. But if it is 25 basis points, I think people will see that as bullish. So if we pulled back now, let's say we pulled back until that happened, well, that would line up, right? The 2 hour pulls back, we pull back, we pull back, we pull back, we pull back, and then boom, we see that rate cut come in at 25 basis points. Now, the other thing that could happen is we come back, and then we get a 50 basis point cut. People see that as good, and then we get some kind of A, B, and then they realize, oh no, wait, they're cutting because of that? Oh, bad. So we'll pay attention. The signals will tell us which way the stock market is going. Right now, it's set up, right? We set up, we said there's potential for a short squeeze. Now a short squeeze is happening, right? We've actually been squeezing for a little bit. Tesla heading into resistance. Tesla hitting its head on 213.75. Solid move there for Tesla. Heading up towards the, weirdly enough, the weekly expected move and the breakdown area. So now you got Tesla heading down to this area. We'll see what happens from there. Does it reject? Pretty much something like 215.50. PSIG. These stocks you can't really do too much technicals on. You just want to look at daily scales. That's turned up. Anytime the daily's turned up, you have a chance to see a good thing. There's not a lot of technicals to do on these type of stocks that see dramatic downside. What you're looking for maybe is 2-hour divergences, but you'll notice that this is very elongated, right? So it just says, hey, we could pop up at any time. Now, what's cool about this actually is once that actually went positive right around here, now you're seeing that upside right as it goes positive. See, we were negative on this bar, then boom, we go positive. So the positivity coming in there for PS International. But the more the thing you want to look for are bigger time frames just turning up to see if a big move can happen. And then you need to do your due diligence and research the stock and that kind of thing. See if it's an investment at that point because there's not really a trade setup happening in front of you. GameStop actually seeing that positivity. AMC actually flipping to the positive side here. So actually up 0.2. We'll see if this can hold above that 200. This is what you like. I'm just being genuine here, and you're welcome, Jay. I hope that was in some way helpful. That's just how I treat those stocks. If I see some, even Intel's a very classic stock, I would say. I think it's something that people have traded a lot. It's a good company, and that one looks kind of like that to me, right? Not really the best reversal signals, but that doesn't mean there's not something to do with it. You just need to do a little more research into it. The technicals, they're not giving you a good hint. If it's not very clear, then usually I'm not saying it's a good trade. You need to do more research and see if it's a good investment at that point, or if a monthly chart is curling up or something. Yeah, what's the ticker for that? What's the ticker for that? Anubis. Now, I'm just saying this is actually very important, okay? This is something that can trigger some stuff, right? If we see some bullishness above this 200. Now, if they need to fight this, they need to push it below all these moving averages. That can easily happen as well. Don't think that just because all these moving averages are here and we're right here right now, that that's immediately going to be good. Well, what if they just did this? Well, then it's immediately bad. So you want to see how this closes over the next couple of days. See if you get a good green bar above this. GME starting to cross up. We'll see what happens with that guy. Oh, it's Visco. The Visco girl, huh? The one thing with this was an overall swing trade signal with divergence. Okay, so you do have some divergence points down here. You can see the flat bottom here. You see the flat bottom here. Awesome. Okay, and we see the upward move on the MACD. We see the upward move on the RSI. So the actual point where this thing was confirmed getting some upside was right here, $19. That was the trade setup on the daily scale. Boom, you see a move to the upside just a few days later. So very, very good signals in here. Right now, would I be chasing? Well, this is overbought. This is overbought at this point. Do we have some reversal signals? Not necessarily, but it looks like a 2-hour pullback is what I would look for, or at least a 30-minute pullback is what I would look for before that goes to the upside. You're noticing, look at that. See the big move? Awesome, I missed out on the big move. Okay, darn. I'm not going to chase it and try to buy it up here. I'm going to see if there's a solid pullback, and then if that trade sets up for me, boom, swing trade to the upside. We know that that was positive territories right there, boom, to the upside. So there was a swing trade set up on a 30-minute swing trade. Is a little bit difficult, but you can see them. The weekly and monthly candles look redonk. Yeah, they do look a little ridiculous. Yeah, I hope that was helpful. Yeah, volatility, just paying attention to the 30-minute as of now. Look at this, you're going to that 200. This is where you'll find out, are we going to keep squeezing or are we going to see some kind of reaction in volatility, see some kind of pullback. This right here, you already crossed that 50, so nope, still squeezing. Now if you cross this 200, nope, most likely still squeezing. But anywhere around this 200, we could see a reaction. We could do this, we could react. We could do this and then do this and then see that wick up and then react, right? So we need to pay attention to right now, but if you close below this, most likely you are still going to short squeeze. Dow not showing the best behavior, but crossing up on the MACD. We'll see if that changes by the end of the day. SPY seeing a great move to the upside. We'll see if that changes by the end of the day. Looks like indecision for the most part yesterday ended up being to the upside with the data. Indecision before data makes total sense. Qs now getting outside of that daily and weekly expected move. Remember, we have a 68% chance just to do this by tomorrow. And that would make sense. Tesla, great move from Tesla. Thanks to the news, is it falling from extended highs or getting ready to rip again? Ulta, and I saw that this was something being released with, what's his name? Warren Buffett, right? So now you're getting that daily cross up, but you kind of missed out on a lot of the price action. You're already above the center line. It says more positivity can be there. What I like to do on these big pops, just look at a 30-minute. See if there's some kind of pullback. If there's some kind of pullback, awesome. Then I can be a part of the move. But am I going to chase something when it's in an area where it could cup and handle, right? Cup. Maybe it creates that handle. Maybe it curls to the upside. Maybe you see this get down by the center line and curl back up. You've seen the big move. Now you're just waiting for the potential for that to make the next big move. Is volume picking up on AMC? Actually, a very good question. Let's look at the daily. Let's look at the comparison in volume over the last bit of time, because I think volume has been heading down, if I'm not mistaken. Let's really zoom in here. So yeah, volume really heading down, right? You see that volume? You see this right here? If that can come in with a big green bar, that could be a sign of something, right? We saw here volume heading down. Now this was a big red bar, but that's because of the selling that came in. But that was a great move to the upside from down here, 425 all the way up to 544. So really got to pay attention, guys. Okay, here's the thing. This is like, this is the best way to explain it. It's like this. It still is a mutually exclusive thing if you've studied, you know, probabilities, if you've had business statistics and that kind of thing. It is a thing. It's like if you've seen 10 rolls on the roulette table of black in a row. You've seen 10 in a row. That's what this looks like to me. And it would say to myself, okay, if I could bet on red for the next, say, like 5 turns, this is the type of signal I would want to see. So that's more how I look at this. It seems that AMC and GME, because there is a fight between it, if you're doing options, it's more of a gamble. Obviously, the safest thing to do if you're really confident in it is if enough retail hold it, it can head to the upside once this thing actually snaps. So that's the safer thing. If you're trying to do options, it's more of like, this is a signal to really pay attention to. Is Tesla squeezing? Well, it's squeezing up to the daily expected, or the weekly expected move as of right now. There you go. So it hasn't crossed up on the MACD yet, but this thing needed to reload. It was a great signal. We had some good signals down here. Then we turn down, we retest the break up area, and boom, we head to the upside. So all this looks good. Now you're reaching an area where resistance can come in. If you can get through that, then it's very likely you're heading up towards 230. I think it looks strong. I'm waiting for that to cross up, waiting for this to cross up, and just waiting to see the signals for the rest of the day. Because it is heading up. I believe that's where the weekly expected move is as well. Yeah, you're outside of the weekly expected move. Big buy signal, though. We'll see if that's able to hold by the end of the day. I think that's mainly what we want to see. You're heading right up into that area where you can see resistance. The SPY's outside. I mean, this is what you see in a squeeze. We told you, if you're going to squeeze, most of the time you end up outside of the weekly move. We're always aware of the downside, but for the most part, I'm scaling out of my longs and just holding on to my volatility position, my hedge from what I had for my longs. I can take profit, add just a tiny bit to that. If we see another pullback, awesome. If not, hey, I'll just exit that position. And let's see the VIX. Are you going to touch that 200? It's literally going to tag that 200 soon. I just think you have more likelihood for just a pop in volatility for a moment. Curl down like this, curl back up. I think that's pretty likely here for the SPY. What else is happening? Tesla, great move. Apple up towards that level where you see we're hitting a lot of key levels. Amazon about to test resistance maybe. Nvidia getting up past it. That's a big deal. AMD hitting a point where we could see resistance. Meta hitting the top of its channel with divergence on the 30-minute. That's worrisome if you start to curl over. Microsoft getting the perfect retest of the break of the trend, right? That channel it's been in. They're retesting that right now. Google just doesn't look very good. Netflix finally showing a little 30-minute, maybe for a 2-hour pullback. Right, we have to talk about pullbacks. These things are extremely positive. GME showing some positivity here. As of right now, rejecting the cross on the 2 hours. So some very important things happening. I actually did have a pimple this morning. Oh, man. I actually did. My wife doesn't let me pop my own pimples. She likes to pop them. She's one of those people. But no, it's just everything functions better. Like, I don't see lagging or anything like that. I was having a problem where I kept disconnecting from chat. And so if I don't do the video, then it helps it out a little bit. Because I have to have internet connection for my video on my phone. Until I really want to invest in a better setup. I like my computer setup. I love my setup right now from my computer. It's just the filming part I haven't set up yet fully. But that's okay. We can sit here and talk about stocks. You don't need to see my ugly, ugly, ugly face. MSTR. MicroStrategy's rejection here on the 2 hour. That is a good sign. That is a good sign. Are you curling up on the daily? It looked like you could. So we do have the opportunity for some positivity to happen. Now, if that 2 hours still is negative, we have to pay attention. There's still 53 minutes left in the bar. You have to see if that starts to rotate back down. All right, see if that rotates back down. We do have the dollar starting to drop off a little bit here, just a little bit. But for the most part, dollar higher, market higher at this moment, and the PCC is starting to head towards 0.8. Oh, I'm a very oily guy. I got oily hair. I have thick hair. It's all oily and stuff, so. Meta, I really want to see this. This is a crazy good reaction. Over 200 watching. Thank you guys for being here. Really appreciate it. Thank you guys for liking, subscribing. You guys are fantastic. 19,000 shops amid sinking sales. Oh no. Bro, Subway. Where I used to live, they gave us coupons for like buy one, get one free sandwiches all the time. We only went to Subway when we had those. So they were definitely losing money off me as a customer. I haven't been to Subway though in like months and months. Hey, it's a good sign, Scott. It means that what we're doing is overall, hopefully it is helpful. That's the big thing. And thank you guys who are, even today, giving back to the community when you do find that the channel is helpful. Maybe it helped you with a trade. Thank you so much for giving back to the community, even if it is with a like or a subscribe. I think that's fantastic. So no real setups now. What you're looking for are, do we see daily swing trade signal setups? I'm not saying this isn't bullish. I think this is very bullish. But if this is going to behave, pretty much you're at this point. Okay, you pass that. You're at these points in here, right? So now we're hitting a resistance point. What will happen at resistance is, look at this, how we move sideways. See this right here? We move sideways and then we break to the upside. So I'm looking for that sideways movement. And we can look for maybe similar signals to back then. All right, looking for maybe some similar signals to back then where maybe we curled down briefly on a 2-hour and then we popped up. Okay, awesome. And then we curled back down to retest. I think you could see something like this where you move sideways, or something like this where you see that dip down, test a key area, and then curl back up into positive territory. That's kind of what I'm looking for from the 2-hour. Doesn't mean it has to happen though. That's awesome, Maria. I'm glad you learned plenty in that course. Thank you. No, I know you're lurking. You're lurking, aren't you? Hey, that's awesome. Yeah, I try to stay aware of everything. And the weird part is you guys might think like I'm staying aware of it to keep you guys aware of it, and that is part of it for sure, but I'm staying aware of a lot of things because of how the world is shaping up. That's the main reason I'm staying aware of things, because I want to see what things are happening. So if you didn't know, I mean, yesterday, all in one day, what did we see? Well, the honeymoon phase for Kamala's campaign seems to drop off. So what do we notice? Oh, okay, Trump does that interview with Elon Musk. They start to spread a bunch of stuff about that. So, and this isn't to talk about politics, I'm just telling you what I'm aware of, right? I'm not telling you anything about politics. I don't care who you vote for whoever you want. That's the whole point. Right now, though, we see that happen. They're freaking out because they had 1 billion views. That's pretty crazy to get 1 billion views. The media goes for a frenzy. So what happens if a couple days later, or the next day, or a couple days later? Oh, well, the WHO comes out about the monkeypox. And then right after the monkeypox, we get, oh, Social Security has been leaked, right? So now it's like, okay, monkeypox is released. My fear is now they have the information of whoever they is. By the way, don't know who they is all the time when I'm saying they. Could be the elite, could be something crazy, but could just be another country. We'll see. But we'd say that was leaked. So now not only do we have a crisis, but we have a crisis where now the information to control the people is leaked. That's why I'm paying attention to those things. Now, I will take that into consideration with the market, but for the most part, I'm paying attention to the signals in the market. But yesterday I did go to the grocery store to make sure nothing bad was going to happen. We just like to reload on key stuff, right? We like to reload on water. We like to reload on some food. We like to reload on formula and things like that if we need it. It'd be cool to see at the range. I might post a little video from the range at some point. I thought about writing down stock tickers on some targets. Or just writing like your account. Here's what could happen if the dollar extremely turns up. Or here's what could happen to the market if AMC and GME turns up. Bang, 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 bang. Just shoot your account. Dried foods, rice, yeah. So my buddy has all that stuff. Me and my buddy are kind of in it pretty much together. We try to keep each other aware of things. That's kind of, I think, my job since I'm watching this stuff all the time. Keep him aware of things, and he'll have the equipment. So he has those like water things where you can create healthy water. You can create like 100,000 gallons. Yeah, formula. The only bad part about formula is some of them go bad after like 6 months to a year. So we try to buy ones that are good for 1 to 2 years. And my buddy actually, congratulations to him. He's having he's having his first child. So we're really trying to make sure to have that kind of stuff. All right, looking over at Mara, this thing is actually curling up on the 2 hours, showing you that divergence there. So we'll find out what happens with that. AMC not turning up anymore, so we'll see what happens by that by the end of the day. But this is where you got to pay attention to it. Sadly enough, now this could just fail, right? You're getting it above the 200. What happens when you get above the 200? Bad things, right? The fight of the stock, fight the stock, fight the stock. So this would be a moment where fight the stock would make total sense. We could just reject, but if you get a green bar like this, ooh, the algorithms might actually kick in. Yeah, that's true, but he might, Lisa. He might, my friend might. Gap, and it keeps going higher. The probability for this to head higher from this area, I would say, is still 32%. You have always, when you get outside of your ranges, right? When you get outside of these ranges, you have a 32% chance to see something crazy. You're seeing something crazy right now. Now, if that would rotate down, so the probability you rotate down is, 32% to see something crazy, 68% chance to just do something like this. But that could be brief. You could just fill this gap, and then Monday you end up going higher towards a weekly expected move. right? So we're paying attention closely. If the 2 hour is fully able to cross down, that would be a likelihood for a pullback. How far would that pullback to? Well, you'd probably go back into some liquidity, right? You'd go back into some liquidity. So I think these two areas, if you're going to pull back on the 2 hour, could be important. And a lot of people will start to say, oh, this is rolling down and crashing down. It can. That's why you want to make sure to manage your risk. If this does curl over on this MACD, it can be very bad. It can be very bad. But this is very, very bullish. We are in positive territory. So the more likely thing from this, even if we do pull back, is you shape this out. Then you see if you can head higher. That is the more probable thing, is this will be a pullback. Yeah, as far as the shooting range goes, though, I'm just practicing a lot of dry firing, practicing my trigger control. That's something that I'm really focusing on at this moment. I still want to keep my eye over on Palantir. I know that's seeing some upside, but it's really not showing too much more strength. You're seeing a small cross up. We'll see if that can cross back down. You're towards the weekly expected move. You haven't really tagged it yet, but you're towards it. I'm interested to see. This really looks like it needs to pull back at this point. You've really tapered to the upside, right? Strong upward move. Now they're getting a little bit weaker. Now we're starting to pile up for a big move. Big move could be in some direction. As of right now, the daily is still pointing straight up. That could be a great thing. But you notice if we did roll over here, uh-oh, that would be bad. Now, do we see signals that that daily is going to roll over? No. You more see a signal of a pullback that maybe tests a key area again, and then you curl back up over time. So we'll pay attention if something like this forms, because then you can really start to see that divergence set up. So no real reversals in trend signal, just looks like a pullback could be likely here. Yeah, let's look at that for you. My day is going well. I scaled out of a lot of longs, good upward moves. Hopefully people were able to benefit from that. And now I've just started to trim and just add a little bit to the hedge just in case. Nothing crazy, just adding a little bit. So if there is a downside move, hey, I can make like a little bit of profit. If not, hey, at least I was being diligent and I can wait for the next trade setup. With the profit I've made this week, I am plenty fine with losing a couple trades even. I have made plenty. So see if that structure is going to form. I'm going to be patient, though, for the most part. With my volatility play, I'm just holding that in case something bad happens. But making sure to pay attention if things just curl down and curl back up. That's going to be the real opportunity, I think, at this moment. Because the dollar is still starting to rotate down. So the big thing for the dollar is this, daily cross up. Do we get a daily cross up? But I want you to notice, remember in the past, we saw that daily cross up and head up over time, and the market still went higher. So it can be, that's what we talk about with traps. It can be a trap on the daily scale. It could be a trap right now on the, like a 30-minute, 2-hour scale. It could be a trap on any of those time frames. Right now, you would say there might be a trap on a 2-hour scale. Actually, more so on the 30-minute scale. Right, 2-hour trap on the 30-minute trap on this to the upside, 30-minute bull trap if this starts to head up. But if these head up at the same time, it might be more of a 2-hour divergence type trap, right? 2-hour divergence at the high type trap. And then after that, you'd look for a daily trap. But do you want to like bet against that every time? Not necessarily, because you can really beat up your account if you try to short something that is looking this bullish. Is Nvidia reaching the breakout? So Nvidia is breaking out. It's breaking above this high. So that is a great move. We saw the crossing up of the MACD right here, the RSI right by the center line down here. So right here, seeing that upside proven, able to break to the upside, scaling out of all my positions. Though at this point, as we go higher, I'm looking for that 125 resistance. I'm not saying this can't break out to the upside above this trend line. I'm more saying we might need to wind up a little bit before we break out. And maybe earnings is what we really need to pay attention to with that. I thought it was interesting, by the way. Nvidia earnings comes out just a few days before GameStop. So we'll see what happens with that. GameStop's curled up on its MACD too. We'll look at some charts. More charts, more thoughts. Alrighty. Looking good, looking good, looking good. What are you guys looking at? All-time high, maybe? It can, yeah. So if you start to break through this area, yeah, you can, especially with good earnings. I think you do have the opportunity to reload before earnings, but we'll see. People still sitting right in the middle, kind of some people shorting, some people getting calls, which still can lead to higher prices. And the Qs are likely to head higher. They're crossing above that 470 level where we just pulled up on the max pain was a huge, huge thing to pay attention to. All right, stick around for just a couple minutes while I use the restroom. I'll be right back in about 2 minutes, all right? Be right back. All right. Anyone shorting Tesla? Tesla not really showing like a shorting, I would say, signal really. Just a 30-minute that looks like, hey, I'm a little bit cooked. I'm up towards that. I am touching that. I'm actually, sorry about that. You're outside of the weekly expected move. You're hitting a breakdown area. So this is where resistance can come in. If you're able to bottle up before that though, and then confirm upside, right? What do? We break through, we retest, we have a chance to head lower. Nope, we hold up at the breakout area. We head to the upside, we reload, we can turn back up into positive territory. Now, Tesla, it just hasn't confirmed something very key here, Aaron. Hasn't confirmed it on the daily scale. So that can take a little bit more time. Nvidia has, and what did you see? Extended positivity. Apple, doing it, seems to be right now. Did it do it yesterday? No, it's doing it right now. So if this starts to pull down, hey, that could reject. You could need a stronger base. You could need a higher low. You could need to bottle up in this area for a little bit to break out of that 225.84. No shorting. Yeah, it seems people, for the most part, are still trying to, it's kind of like 50-50. Some people trying to short, but we knew that the Qs had some big put level at 470. Those people are feeling a lot of pain this morning. Now, remember, guys, we'll probably be hopping off just here in a little bit, so thank you guys for joining, but we will be probably hopping off in a little bit, and I will be live later today. Amazon divergences, sell signals. 2 hour for it. Now, Amazon, you got to be a little more worried. It's closer to negative territory. Does it have a sell signal necessarily? No, you just need to probably load up a little bit, but very cool to see it gap above our level again. Very, very good. So we know that level is important. You're kind of testing or trying to test the breakdown area. Guess tomorrow's candle. If I had to guess tomorrow's candle, we get more data. I would say a bad reaction from that then leads to, at the end of the day, right, we just see some kind of wick up. So I would say the 30-minute maybe curls down and then we see some kind of wick up. That would be pretty good. I think that type of look would be good for Tuesday. I think that would make the most sense with how things are adding up right now. But that doesn't have to happen at all. You could just keep consolidating, I think you've already seen your overzealous move. So if you are going to pull back, that would be the move. If you don't pull back, hey, next Monday, you could just gap higher and just be off to the races, man. This could really start to bottom out, see daily momentum take over. But yeah, a lot going on. Volatility showing you that little divergence down here, but very, very, very overbought, testing that 200 pretty much at this moment. Look how close that is. And you see the Dow just crossed up. IWM has not crossed up. GME has crossed up, so this is where some positivity can kick in. 2418 is the level to pay attention to this week. That's where the fight will happen or some dramatic upside. I would expect as we're going into Friday close that this doesn't do anything crazy tomorrow. That's what I would expect. But it doesn't matter. I just need to pay attention to it. But yeah. Yeah, mainly it's just like they don't want this thing to close at expiration at higher levels. So I would assume they would want maybe an expected level to take place, 2418 or something like that to take place. Which actually, what's the expected level for GameStop? I don't know if I even have those on here right now. Yeah, 2418. FFIE. This one's been beat up, hasn't it? So the daily cross-ups are what you're looking for. Now you're down at lower levels, so that's all you can really say about this. There's not really reversal signals as that's just trailing down and down. You're probably going to see divergences. You more so just want to see bigger time frames confirm things. Netflix was one that really needed the 2-hour pullback. That was already overbought before this type of move. Now you're seeing a small divergence actually confirming soon if that can drop down another 30 minutes. We're just not seeing that dramatic go, like people running to the call side, so people still trying to short. Hey, Shiva, thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you for subscribing. We will be live later today, Shiva, at an hour before the close. We do a live stream at the end of the day. It's not my anniversary. All the plans went awry, but still a great day. Got to spend time with my wife, so always a good day when you spend time with your wife. But didn't go exactly to plan, unfortunate. Nothing ever does when you have a kid, right? Nothing ever goes directly to plan anymore. But it was still a good day, and that's all I can ask for. Yields going up dramatically. TLT really dropping off from there. And remember, we were talking about TLT. If you remember during the live video yesterday, we just briefly mentioned TLT. We just said, hey, that's hitting a weekly expected move, right? We were like, this is hitting a weekly expected move. And I want you to look at this from, say, the 2-hour perspective and think about the market here. Just go, oh, okay, that's a higher, or that's a lower high, so TLT can really start to suffer here. TLT's down while the market's up, that's big. HYG overall has seen a great upward move, but is negative right now compared to the market. That is your, say, smart money. So what I think they're doing is they're holding at higher levels. We'll see if this changes by the end of the day. If the dollar remains higher while the stock market remains higher, there's always a chance for a rug pull, especially if the PCC can go lower. Just like we did here, maybe it goes lower. That's where we started to go sideways. Now we'll see if that's able to pull back. Smart money. It's just what some people call HYG, high yield growth bonds, right? That's just what people call it. They would call it smart money. So technically retail would be considered the dumb money. So what we're doing on this channel is more so following the smart money and making decisions, more so looking at what dumb money is doing, aka ourselves, looking at what people like us would be doing in these areas, and then seeing how we could go against that, because dumb money is usually called dumb money because they're mostly wrong, right? We are mostly wrong, right? But on this channel, we do the opposite side of that. So that's why we're right a lot of the time. You're a real one, bro. Appreciate you. Hey, thank you for subscribing. You're a real one for subscribing. So thank you so much, and thank you guys for liking the channel today. Really appreciate it. We've had 200 people in here almost all morning, which is just fantastic. I hope 200 of you guys show up for the live video. Put it in your calendar. An hour before the market closes, that I'm going to go click over on Lucas's channel just to see what's happening at the end of the day. I can tell you this, though. Even though the market is remaining higher, the volatility plays are actually seeing some call side action. Now, that could just be people hedging and things like that, but we are actually seeing those values of those calls for volatility actually going slightly up right now. It's not to say that's something to make a decision on. We still want to see if things are reversing down. One hint might be like if Palantir really starts to curl down on its 2 hour, that could be the beginning of something bad, which means IWM, this pop higher, might actually fail. We'll find out. Things like the Dow, we can pay attention to that as well. If that starts to fade, it would be not crossing on the daily MACD. So there's just a lot to pay attention to today. We're hitting some key areas, so this is kind of where if you get above it, you can keep squeezing, but if you remain below it, ooh, bad things can happen. Kind of like Nvidia here, you get above this level, what happens? Ooh, we get above it, boom, head to the upside. We're still within a sell zone though. Oh yeah, Exxon. I'm sorry, I didn't even look at that. Someone asked about Exxon earlier. So we're looking at this, and if you look at it from this perspective, you're going, uh-oh, that's 2 hour divergence. Now you also have a bullish thing going on here. Cup, handle maybe, right? Mainly you're just seeing things get a little bit tighter, okay? Get a little bit tighter, and you're kind of in this little range, right? A range down here. So we're paying attention to the signal right now. That's a great move to the upside. It has a 2 hour divergence right there, but is the daily crossing down? No, it's not. It does have daily divergence at this level as well between these highs, so you can see this start to fall off. That's something to pay attention to. The 30 minutes showing a little bit of that divergence as well, seeing that next move up. Remember, the timing could be everything here. Could mean a 15-minute crosses up and then a 15-minute crosses back down. So it's not to say that this doesn't have weakness and momentum, it's just not experiencing a downturn just yet. Where is Just Joe today? Come on, Just Joe. Where is Just Joe? GME up 2% now. Interesting. Dollar still holding up a little bit, but starting to really drift down, starting to reject from the area. Housing not seeing the most. Usually if housing's doing good too, that's a big sign. But housing not close to crossing up on this MACD, not seeing as much strength. So is this just a short squeeze? It seems like a squeeze at this point. We'll see if it can squeeze higher, maybe take you to all-time highs. The squeeze can do that. But right now we're just paying attention mainly to, is the dollar going to curl up into positive territory? Is this going to curl up and see some kind of reaction, some kind of flight to cash? Volatility, you're just noticing that it was down by like 9%. Now we're starting to see it, hey, gain some ground. We'll see if this is able to turn up from this area as it's right by that 200. We're just noticing there is some divergence down here and across the way, but not on the RSI at the same time. The only one on the RSI at the same time is the current one, really close up. So this is where I was pretty confident just saying, hey, I'm going to add a couple of contracts just in case. Ignacio, it's the macro that matters, not the technical analysis. What's the macro? Wait, macroeconomics? You think that the retail sales numbers was a fib and they're just going to readjust it next time? Because that's pretty facts. The only thing that I think they have trouble lying about is straight up unemployment numbers. Yeah, and that could be true. That could be relatively true. I think they're trying to make people very, very bullish. I mean, that's a very big number. 1%. Wait. The hell? Where'd that go away? There it goes. Oh, and the previous was minus 0.2, by the way. That was just updated. Just so you're aware, just now I noticed that was updated. That used to be 0. Now that's negative 0.2. So it was actually worse last time, and they lied about that. Now this is 1%. Watch that be 0% or minus 4% next time we see it. They don't revise at the same time. They always revise a little bit later so people aren't looking at the data. Of course they revise it, and that's much lower. Yeah, see, weekly unemployment they can fib. That's why you're looking for that 3-month unemployment reading. Yeah, fishy stuff there. I don't like to see it either. But as people keep trying to short the market, we're sitting kind of right in the middle. The same thing can continue. We're not seeing an overzealous move to the call side just yet. All right, guys, so for this morning, we're going to hop off for just a little bit, and we'll be back later this afternoon, so make sure you like. If you want to hang out for a little bit, I'll leave the stream up just for a little bit so you guys can chat. Oh, whoa, wait a second. Before I hop off, the volatility call options just kind of went nuts. Hold on, the volatility call options just kind of went nuts. I'm all of a sudden up 50% out of nowhere on my volatility call options. So it doesn't mean to read into it too much. That could be people hedging, but it just means be a little bit cautious today, guys. Okay, trade like water. That's the overall thing we need to say, right? Keep trading like water. Make sure you're paying attention to your signals. Make sure we're paying attention to the PCC, the dollar, and any reversal signals, any 2-hour curlovers. So just make sure to pay attention to those things, because it looks like some people are hedging dramatically for some downside, for some volatility. So just pay attention to that. It could just be hedging though. So we'll join you later today. We'll see how those signals are looking by the end of the day. Sorry about that. I just had to mention that before it happened. Now that could be just hedging, but for the most part, we just want to pay attention to the signals closely when something like that happens, because if big boys are starting to hedge or something like that, we need to know. Thank you guys so much for watching today. I really do appreciate it, and thank you for joining the live stream. Something that I use is UVXY is something that I use. If you're doing an option on that, make sure that you're not holding that for an extremely long amount of time, right? Those things do decay. Even if you're holding the stock, a lot of the times I just buy the stock as a hedge, just so you're aware of that short Fridays. But thank you guys for joining today. Join me later this afternoon on the closing live stream. We will try to be up an hour before the close so we can watch that closing hour. It's always interesting around that time. We can see if these signals change around then. But thank you guys so much for watching. I'll talk to you guys a little bit later. Peace.